Well, there are growing international concerns for the safety of a competitive climber from Iran.
Elnaz Rekabi competed without a hijab at an event in Seoul, Korea over the weekend. The 33-year-old climber was seen wearing just a black headband during Sunday's competition. The Iranian Embassy says she returned home with the rest of her team, but friends and family say they have not been able to contact her since the competition. The decision, perhaps a decision, to climb without a headscarf comes at a time, of course, of historic unrest across Iran. Anti-government protests continue across the country after a 22-year-old woman, Mahsa Amini, died in the custody of the so-called morality police because of allegedly not wearing her hijab properly. CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio joins us now for more on this. Ramy, welcome. Let's just get right to it. What do we know about Elnaz Rekabi's whereabouts? The world is very concerned.
Sure. We're all wondering that, Lillian. There's no official confirmation from her or any government source, but she may be in transit in Doha. That is the capital of Qatar. Now, this is according to Iran International. That's a Persian news station based here in London. And they say they've seen a document that shows Ms. Rekabi and other members of the Iranian national rock climbing team will land in Tehran at 3:40 a.m. local time on Wednesday, several hours from now. Now, there are two Qatar Airways flights that line up with all that we know so far. One did depart Seoul this morning for Doha. That was with a long layover, and then one arriving in Tehran exactly at 3:40 a.m. So come sunrise tomorrow, we might finally have confirmation there.
It's unbelievable that it would take this long. I mean, nowadays, knowing so much about the whereabouts of these flights.
And then it's even become more complicated because a message was written and posted on Rekabi's Instagram account earlier today, claiming that she, quote, unintentionally climbed without her hijab. Ramy, how are Iranian officials responding to the situation, and what do we know about the
legitimacy
of that Instagram post?
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's wondering that as well. There's just so much that we don't know that's unclear, that is being met with a lot of skepticism here. So far, they aren't really saying much, Iranian authorities in Iran. But one thing we did hear is from the Iranian Embassy in Seoul. They tweeted out a message saying it denied all of the fake, false news, the disinformation about Rekabi's departure from Seoul earlier today. The embassy also posted a photo of her, and you can see that on the screen right there, but it was from a prior climbing competition in Moscow where she is wearing that headscarf. You can see, not from her competition this past week in Seoul. And of course, we know she was not wearing her hijab then. To your point about that Instagram post, there's a lot of doubt about whether she wrote it herself, whether she was forced to write it, or if someone else maybe did for her. But it wouldn't be strange for Iranian authorities to coerce her to do something she didn't want to do. It's par for the course.
Yeah, it's specifically now. I mean, it's crazy that the sharing of this post from a different competition wearing, a head covering would be shared as if this is not happening at the time where it's happening, which it coincides with the protests over Mahsa Amini. Now, the protests have been intensifying with different age groups taking part. Started with younger people. Now it's pretty much, every age group. How could any punishment of Rekabi's impact or how could any punishment worsen the situation on the ground? How do you think that the public is going to receive if this was, in fact, something that was done by the government?
Sure. Well, once she lands, the fear is that Ms. Rekabi will actually be sent straight to Evin Prison. That's the facility where political dissidents are incarcerated. We were just reporting on how there was a massive fire there over the weekend. But Ms. Rekabi she's a pretty popular figure in Iran, especially for the younger generation. I went on her Instagram, and she has hundreds of thousands of likes for many of her posts. Her last post that people actually believe she put up online was from 5 weeks ago, but many people in just the past day have actually been posting well wishes to her. One person said, your name will be known forever. Another says, long live the real representative of Iran, people like you. And another says, my sister, Iran is proud of you. But if she disappears, it'll just add more fuel, more anger to the fire of these protests to try to topple the government.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the climbing community is so united. I know, and there's so much support when a climber, something happens to them. It's always the community comes together. But this is not just
even
that.
beyond that.
We're
right.
talking about the protest started because of the punishment for the same reason. I cannot imagine that the calculus wouldn't be you're just throwing more fuel in the flame.
Even now, with the questions about it, it just seems like potentially a political poor move on the government's part. All right, Ramy, thank you for staying on top of this, and please bring us updates.
You bet. Thank you.